Hi there, Mantis owners. Today in your 2020 Taxa Mantis, we're going to be taking a look at Bulldog Winch's voltmeter and switch panel. And this is what our switch panel looks like when it's installed. It does flushly mount right into the wall of your camper, motorhome, or potentially even your truck or trailer. I like how the panel is so robust. All of our components have rubber boots on them to protect it against any dirt, debris, and moisture. They are circuit protected. You can press the reset buttons here at the top to reset those as necessary. And we have 5 switches available to power various different accessories that we have. When you turn on any switch, it will illuminate the light, showing that power is being sent through this switch and circuit to whatever accessory is connected to it. Our voltmeter here on the side will help us monitor the condition of our battery so we can kind of have an idea of what charge we're currently at. And I also like to use it as kind of a test to help me know the condition of my batteries. So if we turn on a really heavy load, we could expect a certain amount of drop in voltage, and if we put on the same load, we've got a much higher drop in voltage than what we previously had before when we were monitoring this. That likely indicates that the batteries are a little bit weak. Also included with your kit, you're going to receive a sticker sheet with various different stickers on it, and this is great for labeling your switches once you've wired them up, so that way you can easily remember which switch is for what, and if anybody else gets in your trailer, they'll have an idea of what's going on. So example, if you were putting a blower, maybe a vent or something on one of these switches, you could put that sticker there. This is a typical coil there for maybe like a heater circuit. Maybe you have wheelchair ramps. This is a good one for air conditioning, audio. So there's a lot of different options here to ensure you know what's going on with each circuit. If we take a look at the back side of our panel, we have several switches down here at the bottom, total of 5. The 3 switches located here, which would be the left side if you were looking at the front face of the panel, all are protected with 5 amp circuit breakers. The switch just to the inside of those 5 amp ones is going to have a 10 amp breaker on it, and then the last one here closest to the voltmeter will have a 15 amp breaker. The voltmeter is also protected with a 5 amp breaker of its own. And you can see here it operates more than just our heater. We've got some lights wired up on the back. We can turn them on and off with these. And this way we can illuminate the back of the campsite easily right here from inside of our camper. We'll begin our installation by determining where we want to put our switch panel. Our customer had already mounted a switch down here in the lower section, but he doesn't like the single switch there. He wants to have a more versatile switch setup here, plus there's circuit protection for each of these circuits. So that's kind of nice. It keeps everything protected for you, so you don't have to worry about adding fuses or anything like that down the line. So we're going to be replacing this. So we're going to have it kind of low here. You can put it wherever you like though, really doesn't matter. Now we're putting it here, replacing this switch on our customer's travel trailer, but you can use this switch panel with really just about anything, whether you're wanting to put it in your boat, your travel trailer, your RV, even a truck. This would be a great switch for different accessories. So we've gone ahead and removed the switch that was there, and we're just going to use the gasket that comes included with the kit as our template for cutting it out, because it has the screw mounting holes in it there, and we want to make sure that we don't cut out those areas so that way we have a place to mount to. So we're going to try to make it about the same height as the panel he's got right over here. So we're just going to lay it out, hold it in place, and this doesn't need to be perfect when you're cutting this out. We can adjust the panel in the slot once we've cut it out, because it's going to be a little bit larger than what our actual panel is. So we're just going to make some rough marks here, because we actually don't want to cut up in this top area. We want to cut more here. So what we'll end up doing is we'll take a straight edge and we'll connect these together all at the end here, so that way we ensure we're not cutting out this top area. Now our customer had already placed a switch there, so we could use this opening to put our saw into to cut it out, but I find it just the easiest, and especially if you don't have any holes there, to drill out each corner. That way when you're making cuts too, you can make some, a slit up to the corner and then another one, and then sections of it are going to come out, which makes it a lot easier to cut than one giant piece. So we're just going to take a drill bit that we know is large enough for the blade of our jigsaw to fit through. We're going to put it up in the corner. and we're just going to drill out each corner just like that. So now that we've got all those holes drilled, we can use our jigsaw to cut it out. You do also want to just double check behind it. I checked beforehand before drilling the holes and pulling the switch out, but there is a lot of wires back there, and I pushed all those as far away as possible so that way we don't accidentally hit it with our jigsaw. I just want to make sure that it fits. Your cuts don't need to be perfect because your panel is going to cover up any of those imperfections. The big thing is that you have all of your mounting holes able to drill into place. And it looks like our panel seems to fit pretty good. You'll want to also check level. If it's not quite level, then you may need to take out just a little bit more material so you can get the correct orientation that you want it in. So now at this point you got a couple of options. You could run all your wires and hook everything up for it, or you can go ahead and get it mounted up. I like to mount it up first, so that way I know it's going to be in the position I want it to be in. Then I can route all my wires and just take the screws out and hook it up as needed. Because there's a lot of switches here, and you're likely not going to use all these right at the beginning. You're probably going to use a couple and then have a few reserved for additional accessories in the future. So what we're going to do is take our gasket, put our gasket into place. We're going to start with a single screw. Just going to kind of push it through just a little bit. We're going to set our panel into place, and we're going to get it relatively level, and then we're going to run it in. These are the screws that came included with our kit. Make sure you got that gasket nice and straight. So we've got that one run in. I went ahead and loosened it just a little bit so that way we can line this up, because you can see we have just a little bit of movement here, which allows us to make it nice and level with our other components and stuff that we've got there. It is kind of a little bit of a pain because you have to hold the gasket up and line all that up while you're doing this. But once you get all of your screws started, it will be a lot easier. So then we're just going to hold it up till it's level there, run in our second one. And from this point on, installing the rest of your screws is pretty easy. We're just going to go down and screw the rest of them in. You'll have 4 remaining ones. And once you got the first 2 in, that pretty much holds it nice and straight for you. So it's just run the rest in. So now that we've got our panel fully mounted up, at this point we're ready to start routing wiring for various components, as well as power and ground over to this panel. Power and ground is necessary to light up our panel and get our voltmeter working, and then any accessories, you're just going to route the power wire from those accessories to this so you can plug them into the back. So I'm going to go ahead and unscrew it now, and I'm going to route our wire from the battery here. Our customer already had it routed most of the way for the previous switch, so I just need to kind of gather that together. On your Mantis, you'll find your batteries below your stove, just to the left of your circuit panel box here. To get your wires routed over, I highly recommend just going down through an opening in the floor, routing it underneath the trailer, and then going back up, because the compartment where we had mounted ours, there was already electrical wires that were routed there from the factory, from Mantis, so that means there's already a hole there too, so we don't have to do any modifications, just poke that wire in through those existing holes. So we've got our wires ran over that we need. We've got power here, we've got ground here, and this is the accessory that was hooked up to the switch that was here for some heating pads that are located on the water tanks down below. So I just put spade terminals on those. That's going to make it a lot easier to add more circuits to this in the future, because then you can just slide it out and then you can disconnect it really easily, because the leads that come off of the actual switch box here aren't very long, so it'd be really nice to be able to just disconnect it and then work in this area and then just reconnect all your things. So we're going to take male spade terminals and put them on our switch side. And the reason why I chose with the male terminals over on this side is because these ones aren't sheathed. So once we disconnect this wire is no longer going to be hot, because the hot wire is on this side, and this one's fully sheathed, so that way it can't short on anything here. We're going to go ahead and put another spade terminal on the ground wire as well. If you need any spade terminals, such as the male or female ones that we're using here, you can get those here at eTrailer, so you can add those to your cart when you get your switch panel. And this is it. We just need to hook up power and ground, because if you look at this, is parallel to each one. We've got ground parallel to each of our circuit breakers, and then our power here is also parallel to each of the circuit breakers and the switches. So now we can just hook up our panel. We're going to take our ground wire here and we're going to plug it into the ground wire on our panel. Then we're going to take our positive wire and connect these two together. And our accessory wire we can plug in to our circuit breaker. We're going to be using the 15 amp breaker for this accessory due to the amount of current that it draws. And we can see here we're getting our battery voltage readings. And when we turn on our switch, the switch lights up and it should be sending power out to our heater. We can go ahead and test it. We've got our test light right here. So if we poke down in there, you can see we've got power if we are back probing into there. That means we got power going down, and our heaters should be heating up our tanks right now. And now with our panel back in place, we're ready to enjoy easy access to any of our accessories, as well as a great layout right here in the front. As soon as we open the door, we can know the charge of our batteries and how much, when we turn on our accessories, is going to drop the voltage on our batteries. This is a really good tool as well to just check the condition of your batteries, because if you turn on a load and you know how much amps that load is, and your voltage drops a lot more than you would expect for that amount of load, you can tell that your batteries are likely getting weaker. And that completes our look at Bulldog Winch's voltmeter and switch panel on our 2020 Taxa Mantis.